Hello there, welcome back real world climbers. In this video I'm going to be doing a hold review, and I know you've probably seen a bunch of hold review videos before, but this is going to be a little bit different. So today we're going to be reviewing holds that I've had for a long time. These are holds that I've had since the very first wall that I ever built. In this video we're going to be reviewing some holds that I received from Threeball Climbing, and Threeball Climbing recently announced that they are going to be closing down business, and so I wanted to do this video as a tribute. Years and years ago I wrote a blog post and a review of these holds when I first got them. Obviously I was excited to have my first home climbing wall and to have some holds. So I wanted to do this review as a tribute to Threeball Climbing for their holds and for the many years that they've been in this industry making climbing holds for users, and just to give a shout out to Threeball. So I've had these for a long time. I've used them a lot, and so therefore they've gotten a lot of use, a lot of wear and tear, and so I actually want to talk first about their longevity, how they've held up over the years, and then how we're going to pay tribute to Threeball is we're going to set a route here on the Real World Climbing Headquarters Part 4. We're going to set a new route with these holds. So these holds haven't been up on this wall yet. So the first thing I want to talk about in this tribute shout out to Threeball is the durability of these holds. I believe I got these holds back in 2007 or 2008. So that's coming up on 12 to 13 years I've had these holds, and that's on 4 different walls. So as far as durability, I want to just say that I've never had a single chip on these, and I'm not that gentle with them. I toss them into the bins as I need to, drop them. Even some of these that have like these pretty small, and thin edges here, never really had any issues at all. Good, strong, good materials. And the reason why I'm also really happy about how these have worked out over the years is the texture. So the texture has retained itself really well. So you can see even this one here, it's pretty gummed up with chalk and probably skin and dirt and stuff like that, and shoe rubber. And I mean, the texture is still there. So the texture is really good. It's not overbearing texture, so it's not ripping up my skin. The other thing I want to talk about as far as this review is one of the things that I look for in climbing holds as a home wall owner that is going to be very different than what I look for in climbing holds if I was a gym owner. So one of the things I look for in climbing holds to put on my home wall is usability. And what I mean by that is multiple uses, potentially multiple uses for those holds. But what I like about the ones that they sent me and the ones that I've used for years and years is the simplicity of the holds. So they're simple, but yet I do find that there are multiple uses for them. For instance, I want to talk about this hold here. It might be a little bit hard to see, but it's kind of just a nice little comfy in cut here. Depending on the angle, it might be some kind of a crimp, but I think it's, nice and comfy, nice good round angles here. So nice and simple. But if I was going to use this as kind of like an undercling, this side here has nice little ripples. And so again, it could be stylistic, but what I like about it is when I pass this from my hands and I keep climbing up, this is eventually going to become a foothold. And so I may not want it to be a nice, super big, huge foothold like it was for my hand. And so if I orient this in such a way, I have these little ripples that work on having really precise feet. So I found a lot of use out of that. One other hold that I want to show to talk about that is this triple dish, kind of slopey dish. And so this hold I've found to be very versatile, definitely for footholds. And so, you can orient it in one way for this foothold, and it's slightly different angle, slightly deeper when you orient it this way for a foothold, and so on and so forth. This one's wider, so you have more of a chance of hitting it right, all that good stuff. So I found this to be super versatile for footholds. And then I've also found it pretty useful for like a pinch. I think it's just a really good, thought-provoking hold. You can create some routes that make you think a little bit and things like that. So then, playing off of the shapes and the versatility of them, I also want to talk about just the usability as far as not going to injure your fingers, not going to hurt yourself, things like that. A couple of the holds they sent me are just these simple little crimp edges, and they're, you know, maybe about a pad, about one full pad there, but they're just a nice simple shape and nice rounded edges, so just real comfortable on the joints. And this one here is a little bit, you know, worse as far as like just a little bit harder to use, but again, just a nice simple crimp edge, simple shape, but very comfy. Threeball also sent me a couple of hand jugs, you know, single hand jugs, and so this one here has kind of got an open end to it, so it's just a nice rolled edge, just fits in the hand, just really comfy. Okay, and so, you know, on a slightly overhanging wall, that's definitely going to be juggy, and then obviously as you get, you know, something maybe steep, closer to a roof, then you do have this little lip here, so it's more fingery, but just nice and cozy, nice rounded edges, and then it's open on the ends, so you know, you can catch it a lot of different ways, probably even, you know, match and switch on this. This other jug that they sent me is more of a pockety kind of jug, you know, finger bucket, they might call it. And so this one is closed on the ends, but it's still nice and comfy, and you can still probably get, you know, all 4 fingers in there and be pretty comfy, but it's definitely a little bit more fingery, finger jug, and same thing, nice, great rounded edges. So I really liked those as well. And then last and not least, they also sent me this bad boy here. On the back, it's written as Juggernaut. So this Juggernaut hold is a big old jug. They do have a nice hollow back, so it saves on weight. And again, it's been super solid over the years, so never had any issues with this. The longer holds do have the set screw holes, which is actually pretty innovative back in the day. Not a lot of companies sent them direct with set screw holes right away. So back in the day, they already had that in mind. So this is a nice big 2-handed jug, and just nice big round cozy there. So this is great for obviously starting routes. It's also great for finishing routes. And then, as I mentioned before, I've also found this good as like an undercling. So if I use it as an undercling, which is great for a hand, then it's got these little ripples here for precise footholds as you pass it. So because it does actually taper pretty nice and smooth, so it's kind of nice to have some precise footwork here. So you know, side pulls, just a great hold for that. So again, but like this has been used so many times, and I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but like just that texture is still there. It's dirty, it's got chalk, it's got, you know, it's been marked up, but the texture is still there. So I've been really pleased with these holds over the years, and I want to thank Threeball for your service and for what you've done for this industry for the many years. What I would say to you guys that are watching this video is, just in case they're still, you know, selling out the last of their stock, jump on it. They're great holds in my opinion, obviously, but I've found them to be great holds. And so I would encourage you, you know, buy them out, you know, let them finish their business here and just buy everything that they have. So great company, great holds. Again, thank you Threeball for the many years. Let's go ahead and set a route with these holds. I'm going to exclusively use these holds, with the exception of I'm going to throw some, you know, footholds in there as well. But we're going to go ahead and pay tribute to Threeball by setting a route with these red Threeball holds. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on this. I'm going to do a little bit of thought process on this route set as well. I'm actually going to not start at the bottom of the route. I'm going to start kind of 1 to 2 moves in. I haven't decided yet how many moves in, but I want to start with this first big old jug here. So obviously I can make this into the starting hold, and I'd have really comfy start in 2 hands. And I could also make it into the finish hold and have a nice big, you know, jug for a finish hold. But I want to try and use this in a little bit of a different fashion. And so I'm actually going to set this as like a side pole, and then obviously use it for feet later on with those ripples that I talked about. So I think I kind of figured out where I want to start with this. So I'm going to maybe start the starting holds down here in the bottom, and work my way into this hold here for the right hand as a side pole, and then work my way again off this. So kind of a zigzag shape there. So it's kind of the general vicinity or general direction I'm thinking about going. I'm going to orient this as a side pole, and I'm thinking right here is where I like to see this here. So scope this out, it fits kind of nicely in here. Got that in there, so I know I'm going to be coming at it from this direction, catching here, and then I eventually want to use this for my foot to push me this way. I'm actually going to work my way from there up, and then I'm going to come back into the bottom here. So from here, and knowing I'm going to use something down here, I'm going to want to put a hold somewhere over here, or maybe even straight up here. So I'm thinking, right here, and I think I'm going to want one of those crimps. So since I have a nice big huge hold for my right hand, I'm going to use the smaller of the two crimps. So this one here, the smaller and a little bit, you know, less positive of those two crimps. I'm going to use that one, and I think I'm going to do that right here. And I think I'm going to just use the other crimp. So left hand crimp, I'm going to go right into a right hand crimp here. So since it's on the volume, it's on a little bit more of a positive surface. This volume here, it gives me this extra dimension, and it makes it more positive than it really is, because this is 25 degrees overhanging, and then that makes it a little bit easier as far as a gentler angle. If I were to orient the hold like this, I mean, that would be just too good. I'd be able to like really, it would feel like a jug. I'm gonna orient this in kind of a decent spot, but not like the best spot, because if I'm pulling out, it's not the best. I really want to make sure that I pull down. What I'm kind of running into is a little bit of a dilemma, is that I don't have enough real estate for all the holds that I have. So again, Threeball gave me a good amount of holds here. Let's see what we can do here. Let's get creative here. I did a little brainstorming there, and I think I have some ideas. So I'm going to throw up a rough up here, try it a few times, and tweak it. So I'm just going to kind of throw up my general idea. Let's go and put a starting hold in. So way over here, and actually pretty low too. And what I want to avoid is I want to avoid the ability to kind of cheat this route and get right to here and continue to move up and pull up off of that. So I'm actually going to make this definitely worse. Okay, so I want it to come up here, and I want to force them to come into this zone here. This is where I'm going to use this pinchy hold that I talked about before, where you can pinch it with your hands, and then it'll eventually become a foothold. So I'm just going to figure out what orientation I want that in. I think I like that. Over here, here, up here. So 2 holds left. So what I'm going to want them to do is to take this right hand here, kind of drop down over into something over here that is not reachable from these 2 holds. So keep that in mind. Come over into that and then finish at the top. So thinking here to here maybe. And same thing, I'm going to kind of put it at an angle so that it's not going to be super good coming at it from this direction, but it'll be better coming at it from the right. Kind of see some of my mindset is I want to force the movement here. And the last thing we're going to do is throw up the finishing jug. All right, so outside of determining which footholds I'm going to use, I think I've got a rough set here. I might make some tweaks because it's usually never perfect the first time. It's going to start over here, and then my intention is for them to come up to this slopey pinch dish thing here with the left hand, because then they're going to swing out here and grab this side pull here with the right hand, and then crimp there, work the feet. So I still got to figure out the feet that I want. I don't want them to be too good that they can skip holds. I want to kind of force them to use that as a foot to push themselves over to the left and get that crimped from there, and then rework the feet onto that dish to be able to get to the finishing jug. So I'm gonna do a little thinking here about what I want to do for footholds down here low, and then I think I'm gonna make the climber track their feet. So tracking just means that what used to be a handhold is gonna become a foothold. All right, so now we're gonna do what's called forerunning. So we're just gonna try it out and identify if there's any places we need to tweak and things like that, and then we maybe even try to break it and climb it the way it's not intended. I've done a little bit of forerunning here, and I don't think it's going to pan out the way I thought originally, but that's how route setting goes sometimes. I think it's still going to be a pretty fun route though. So, alright, so that was one thing I found right away, is that I wanted this to be used as a foot, but I underestimated my reach, my height. So I actually, from this starting hold, I can reach finish hold, and I don't even have to use this. Same thing with this hold here. This hold here might be just a little bit too good. So I'm thinking about moving that maybe way over to the right, or getting rid of it altogether. I really like the use of this rail here. Some people call it bacon strips. And then I like this move here because this isn't, you know, it's a pretty tough move. This is pretty hard in the angle that it is, and then this is pretty hard in the angle that it is. Catch something over here, so I'm going to put it right. Try and break it. I'm going to try and break it and go from here to here. Question that you ask yourself is the broken way or the cheap way easier or harder than the intended way? And if it's harder, then no big deal. You know, if somebody wants to work harder to get to the top, no problem. But if it's easier, then you know you've got to change some things. Alright, so I discovered that it's probably just as easy, or maybe even easier, depending on your finger strength. So I'm going to make some adjustments, and I'm going to also try and fix some of the other things I don't really like. So we're actually going to tweak quite a bit. The general flow of it I think is going to stay about the same. Well, I think we're going to start to shift some things over. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it right longer, so that this is definitely out of reach. So I'm going to start to kind of shift it right. So I think I have an idea here. So I think I'm going to pull it way over right here, and then briefly come back left. I think if I put this last hold in an undercling orientation, it'll make it hard enough that this won't be worthwhile for them. Yeah, I feel like there's not enough feet to make that good. I feel like that makes it pretty hard. I think that's what we're going to leave it as for now. So that's the route. So battery's life is almost dead on this camera. I got 3% left. Last thing on this video is going to be, I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to give it a try to climb on it. In case the battery dies, what I want to tell you guys is, remember, go check out Threeball Climbing. If they're still up and running, I'm going to put a link to their website in the description, and give them a check out. Buy them out of stock, get access to some really good climbing holds. So, tribute to Threeball, these red climbing holds. Let's give it a climb. I'll see you guys in the next video.